Prime Minister. We're going to now go for further discussion with the Director of Net Zero Watch, Andrew Montford, and the Co-Director of the Climate Majority Project, Liam Kavanagh. Liam, we're going to start with you. You must be delighted with what the Prime Minister is saying today.
I don't find very much to disagree with what he said there. I mean, certainly national security is an issue, and climate change and national security are intertwined. So what I might have liked to have heard him say something about adaptation and the amount of work Britain also has to do to adapt to climate reality, along with the energy policy that they're pursuing. But it's a very good start to be so determined with energy policy. We need investment. I think Wall Street returns are showing what happens when you flip-flop on policy every other day. In response to what Trump has been doing. The underinvestment in infrastructure is largely due to policy flip-flops in the last few years. So,
Liam Kavanagh, thanks for your opening gambit. Andrew Montford, you're not looking like quite such a delighted man this afternoon.
No, that was a bit of a shambles, I thought. It was internally contradictory, and, you know, it really bodes very badly for consumers in this country. I mean, if you take, first of all, his line about energy security, he's saying, yeah, we don't want to rely on foreign countries for our supply of fossil fuels, which he says we must have for decades to come. But he's busy closing down the oil and gas industry in this country. He's taxing the North Sea at 78%, and he's just concreted up our only shale gas wells. So, you know, that's making us more dependent on foreigners for fossil fuel supplies, vital fossil fuel supplies, than less. Absolute nonsense. I mean, he's announced some more spending. I mean, there's this £300 of bungs for wind farms. I mean, he's announced that money before. This isn't new. He's just trying to look like he's doing something.
OK, let's pause there and throw some of those points over to Liam Kavanagh. Liam, it is true to say that the Prime Minister said that we will need oil and gas in some form for decades to come. Isn't it better that that's extracted here at home than being reliant on those foreign dictators that you and Keir Starmer and no doubt Ursula von der Leyen as well have been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, not really, because oil is a global market, right? So the question there is, do we really expect that there's going to be a choke point on global oil distribution so much that we can't get our hands on any? And why not keep your own reserves untouched for that time anyways, right? The U.S. had a strategic oil reserve for decades, precisely because the idea was, well, let's keep something in the ground in case we need it, right? So I don't think drilling here increases security at all. I think that the opposite is true.
Hang on, doesn't it take a little while to get an oil well up and running? I mean, if there's a war tomorrow, which I'm sure is what people are thinking about in terms of having a strategic oil reserve, surely more wells being found, being prepared, would be better in that situation, not worse.
It's very unlikely that every source of petrol in the world is shut off. So, I mean, the only way that might happen is if you, at this point, unless the Chinese Navy suddenly takes control of the world's seas, is if you get into the war with the United States. So hopefully we aren't in a war with the U.S. If that happens, we're in major trouble. But I don't see that happening.
Never rule anything out. If he's going to invade, if he's going to invade Greenland, if he's going to invade Panama, I mean, maybe Canada's next. Maybe we'd be all drawn in. OK, let's not go too far in a flight of fancy here. Andrew Montford, I want you to respond to some of these points that there will always be a friendly supply of oil. The point is, I suppose, moving more of our domestic energy requirement off oil and onto renewables.
Well, I mean, there will be friendly suppliers, but of course, if you have the supply cut, as we did during the Ukraine war, then the price goes through the roof. And, you know, if you don't have your own domestic supplies, then you're stuck, really. And also, you're giving away all those tax revenues, all those jobs. So, yeah, it's a nonsense way of doing things. Instead, we're going to go for renewables, which have doubled the price of electricity in the last 20 years. And, you know, they're adding 30 or 40 pounds a year in policy costs alone every year. So what Mr. Starmer is saying, I mean, or implying, is that, you know, essentially people are going to have to put up with rising electricity prices for the foreseeable future. It's quite interesting. He doesn't talk about, you remember during the election, he said he was going to reduce your energy bills by £300. Well, now they've gone up by £300 so far. And he's now in that speech talking about energy, energy bill savings for the long term. So what he's doing is he's kicking any hope of lower energy bills way down the road into the future. So expect things to get a lot worse.
Well, gentlemen, I wish we had